Did you know Elvis wasn't a natural brunette? This rare snapshot, possibly from his army service in Germany, showcases his natural sandy blonde hair color. Stationed in Friedberg between 1958 and 1960, his look was often more relaxed than his film persona. Elvis actually began dyeing his hair jet black around 1957. Hollywood stylists famously suggested the change, arguing that the stark contrast made his blue eyes pop more dramatically on color film. This fan photo captures a more personal, unguarded moment, reminding us of the man behind the iconic image before his full return to the spotlight. Palm Springs held a special place in Elvis's heart during this era. This fan photo, dated 1968, captures him in his California desert escape. Just a year earlier, in 1967, he and Priscilla honeymooned in the city at the famous House of Tomorrow. Throughout 1968, Elvis used Palm Springs as a retreat while filming movies and, most importantly, while intensely preparing for his groundbreaking '68 comeback special. He was reclaiming his career, and photos like this show him interacting with fans during that pivotal year. It's a candid moment from a time of massive professional transition. That distinctive jacket is often associated with a specific period, the mid-60s. This photo likely dates to around 1966 or 1967, a time when Elvis was embracing a more rustic, Western-style look. In February 1967, he purchased the 163-acre Circle G Ranch in Horn Lake, Mississippi. This ranch became his personal escape, a place where he could ride horses with his entourage, the Memphis Mafia, and get away from the pressures of Hollywood. While the ranch venture was short-lived, he sold it in 1969, these photos capture his genuine love for the country lifestyle and the fashion that went with it. Here we see Elvis with a familiar face from his inner circle, Marvin Gigi Gambill. Gigi was actually Elvis's cousin and a key member of the Memphis Mafia, serving as a bodyguard and close aide during the late 60s and 70s. The observation about Elvis's appearance in this photo is spot on. His lean, strong physique is characteristic of 1968. He had been training intensely for his legendary television appearance, the '68 comeback special. This image captures Elvis during that critical period of professional focus, flanked by the loyal family and friends who supported him. This classic shot features Elvis with his stunning co-star Ursula Andress on the set of the 1963 film Fun in Acapulco. Fresh off her iconic role in Dr. No, Andress brought international glamour to the movie. As Elvis's right-hand man, Joe Esposito, later recalled, there was definite chemistry between the two stars. However, Andress was married at the time to director John Derek, so Elvis maintained a respectful distance. The movie was a box office hit, famed for its beautiful scenery, even though Elvis himself never traveled to Acapulco for filming. His scenes were all shot in Hollywood. This image is a production still from the 1960 film Flaming Star, a significant movie for Elvis. It was one of his first serious, dramatic roles after returning from the Army, where he played the complex character of Pacer Burton. The film's release sparked creative promotions across the country. For example, the Uptown Theater in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, created a massive 40 by 60-inch postcard in its lobby. Fans were encouraged to sign it, sending a message of support directly to Elvis at the 20th Century Fox studio. The response was so overwhelming they had to add a second card. It's impossible to overstate the impact of 1964's Viva Las Vegas, and this photo captures its vibrant energy. The film is famous for the undeniable electric chemistry between Elvis and his co-star Anne Margaret. Their dynamic performances took the movie to another level, fueling rumors of an off-screen romance. Beyond the chemistry, the movie boasted one of his strongest soundtracks, featuring hits like the title track and What I Say. Supported by great character actors like Cesare De Nova and William Demarest, and filmed on location, it remains the gold standard for Elvis's musical comedies. This remarkable photo captures a celebratory moment following Elvis's opening night at the International Hotel on August 10, 1970. While Elvis often avoided large celebrity parties, this was his own event. Here he's seen mingling with Hollywood royalty, including the legendary Cary Grant and fellow Vegas headliner Sammy Davis Jr. This entire period was documented for the film Elvis, That's the Way It Is. Fans can now see rare video footage of this very party in restored versions of the documentary, offering an amazing, relaxed glimpse of the king celebrating the success of his new show. On April 14, 1972, Elvis was in Greensboro, North Carolina, for a performance captured in the documentary Elvis on Tour. He is wearing the spectacular royal blue fireworks jumpsuit, sometimes called the owl suit, due to the belt's design. While fans have debated its exact color, it was definitively blue. This tour was famous for its grueling schedule, with Elvis often performing 2 shows a day. This relentless pace likely contributed to his varied appearance. After these high-energy concerts, he famously unwound in his suite by singing gospel music with his band and backup singers. This fantastic, uncropped photo from August 1970 shows Elvis at the International Hotel during a unique engagement. In this specific summer festival season, he would often step off the stage and walk through the aisles, greeting fans, shaking hands, and kissing lucky members of the audience. It created an incredible connection. Unfortunately, this practice did not last long. In the following years, security protocols became much stricter, partly due to increasing security risks and a desire to maintain tighter control over the show. This image captures a special, more accessible time in his live performing career. This casual moment shows Elvis playing football on the set of 1969's The Trouble with Girls. This film was a departure, set in a traveling 1920s Chautauqua show. While Elvis looked great and the film had strong supporting actors like Vincent Price, it's often seen as a mixed bag by fans. Many praise the gritty song Clean Up Your Own Backyard, but criticize the film's low-budget and awkward situation songs. By this time, Elvis had already completed his '68 comeback, and this movie felt like a relic from his past. It represents the very end of his Hollywood contract era. This touching 1953 photograph captures Elvis with his mother, Gladys, just before his world changed forever. This was taken before his first Sun Records recordings and the explosion of his fame. It shows the incredibly close, almost inseparable bond they shared during their humble beginnings in Memphis. Gladys was fiercely protective of her son. Many close to Elvis said she never fully adjusted to the chaos of his success and was wary of the pressures his new life brought. This image freezes a simpler, carefree time for both of them, just before the whirlwind of superstardom began. Here is a charming story of fan devotion from August 1973. This is Japanese journalist Reiko Yukawa and her husband in Las Vegas. They had requested Elvis to be the official witness at their wedding. While Colonel Parker initially denied the request, the couple was allowed a backstage meeting. Reiko asked Elvis directly, and he immediately agreed to sign their marriage certificate. After presenting him with a gold record, she made one last request: a wedding kiss. In a classic gentlemanly move, Elvis first turned to her husband to ask for his permission before granting her wish. Imagine traveling from France to Las Vegas for the comeback of a lifetime. That's what 4 French fans did in August 1969 for Elvis's triumphant return to the stage at the International Hotel. They planned to see 7 shows, but on August 12th, their dream came true. After the dinner show, they were invited backstage to Elvis's dressing room. For 15 minutes, he chatted with them, signed autographs, and personally arranged for them to have tickets to that night's midnight show. It was a remarkable gesture of appreciation for his dedicated international fan base during this critical career relaunch. This somber photo captures Elvis and his father, Vernon, on August 14, 1958, the day Elvis's beloved mother, Gladys, passed away. The loss was devastating for him. He was just 23 and on emergency leave from the U.S. Army, having been stationed in Texas before his deployment to Germany. Gladys had been his biggest supporter, and her health had declined rapidly. Her greatest fear had been realized when he was drafted, separating them. This moment marks the end of his youth and a profound turning point in his personal life, a loss that friends say he never truly recovered from. Elvis's connection with his fans was legendary, and it extended far beyond America. This photo was taken on June 24, 1973, backstage at the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island, New York. He is meeting with key members of the official Norwegian fan club. Among the group are Paul Grandland, the club's president, and artist Per Elvis Granberg. These fans had traveled to see him perform live during his busy touring schedule. It was common for Elvis to take time before or after his concerts to meet dedicated fan groups, appreciating the loyalty of those who supported him from overseas. This snapshot captures a typical pre-show moment from his 1974 tours. Here, Elvis meets with fans backstage before his performance in Columbus, Ohio on June 25th. By this point, his live shows were a massive production. He was performing at a relentless pace, often doing 2 shows a day in different cities. In this photo, he is already wearing his stage attire, likely one of his elaborate jumpsuits, as he greets well-wishers. These brief backstage meetings were a cherished ritual, allowing him a moment of calm connection with fans before the explosive energy of the concert. Here we see Elvis on the set of The Trouble with Girls, released in 1969. This film was unique in his filmography, casting him as the manager of a 1920s traveling Chautauqua show. Elvis sports a period-appropriate look, including a straw boater hat and suit. The movie featured the gritty, bluesy song Clean Up Your Own Backyard, which was a minor hit and a fan favorite. Though filmed before his '68 comeback, it was released after, and it stands as one of the final narrative films of his career before he shifted his focus almost exclusively to live concerts. This photo shows Elvis with the Hugh Jarrett Singers. This group provided background vocals for Elvis during his 1969 Las Vegas engagement at the International Hotel. The connection runs deep. Hugh Jarrett himself was a former member of the Jordanaires, the legendary quartet that had backed Elvis on countless hit records throughout the 1950s and 60s. When the Jordanaires declined to tour with Elvis in Vegas, he assembled a new vocal lineup, including the Imperials and the Sweet Inspirations. Hugh Jarrett's group was a key part of that powerful new sound for his live stage return. This is a fantastic example of a 1970s live concert shot. During this era, Elvis's official tour photographer, Ed Bonja, captured thousands of images like this. Elvis was known for his incredible stage presence and his connection with the crowd. He would often strike dramatic poses, knowing exactly where the cameras were. These photographs were not just for posterity. They were quickly developed and sold as merchandise and souvenirs at the very next show, allowing fans to take home a piece of the magic they had just witnessed. It was a brilliant part of the touring business. This rare photo is from a scene that was ultimately cut from the 1965 movie Tickle Me. This film holds a unique place in Elvis's career. It was made for the studio Allied Artists, which was on the brink of financial collapse. They desperately needed a hit. The movie was produced on a tight budget and, notably, had no new songs. Instead, the soundtrack was compiled from previously unreleased album tracks. Tickle Me was a huge box office success, single-handedly saving Allied Artists from bankruptcy, and proving what producer Hal Wallace had always said: Elvis Presley was a sure thing. This is a profound insight into Elvis's final years. According to close friends like Linda Thompson, Elvis knew his high-energy performances were not sustainable. He reportedly said, "You can't be 40 and still be doing rock and roll." He had serious plans for the future. J.D. Sumner recalled that Elvis intended to finish his final sold-out tour and then retire from grueling road shows. His dream was to return to acting, but on his own terms, by starting his own production studio. And he was passionate about recording another full gospel album. Sadly, his relentless schedule took a heavy toll. This date is legendary for Elvis fans. March 29, 1972. This is when Elvis was at RCA's Hollywood studios recording his last major rock and roll hit, Burning Love. By 1972, Elvis was focusing on ballads and live shows, but this song brought back his classic rock energy. The session was captured on film for the Elvis on Tour documentary. You can see Elvis having fun, laughing, and working through the song with his TCB band. He needed a lyric sheet at first, but he absolutely nailed the vocal. It became a staple of his live shows. The bond between Elvis and his mother, Gladys, is one of the most central stories of his life. They were incredibly close, especially after losing Elvis's twin brother Jesse at birth. Throughout his early years in Tupelo and Memphis, they were a tight-knit unit, facing poverty together. Elvis called her by the pet name Baby, and his first ever recording in 1953 was famously a gift for her. Even after he became the most famous man in the world, his primary goal was always to provide for her. This photo represents the foundation of his entire life. This image is tied to a remarkable story of Elvis's loyalty. In 1976, Elvis learned of the passing of a Denver, Colorado police officer he had befriended. He was deeply fascinated by police work and had many friends in law enforcement. Wanting to pay his respects to his friend without causing a media circus, Elvis did something extraordinary. He arranged to wear an official Denver police captain's uniform which had been presented to him as a gift. This allowed him to attend the funeral service and blend in with the other officers, honoring his friend in private. This is Elvis with Kathy Westmoreland, the high soprano singer who was a prominent member of his stage show from 1970 until his final concerts in 1977. She was a key part of his vocal backup, which also included the Sweet Inspirations and J.D. Sumner and the Stamps. Kathy was known for her solo spot in the show, often singing My Heavenly Father. She also had a close personal relationship with Elvis, sharing his interest in spiritual books. She was a constant presence on tour, witnessing the highs and lows of his final years on the road. Look closely in the background of this photo, and you'll spot Hollywood icon Anthony Quinn. This image is likely from the star-studded party Elvis hosted after his opening night at the International Hotel in August 1970. This event was a major celebration of his successful return to live performing, and it was documented for the That's the Way It Is film. The guest list was a who's who of Hollywood, including Cary Grant and Sammy Davis Jr. The presence of a legendary actor like Anthony Quinn shows the immense respect Elvis commanded from his peers. This is a historic meeting of two music pioneers, Elvis Presley and Clyde McPhatter. McPhatter was the original lead singer of the Drifters and a hugely successful solo R&B artist. His vocal style was a massive influence on Elvis. You can hear McPhatter's phrasing and soulful delivery in many of Elvis's early recordings. This photo, likely taken backstage at a show in the 1950s, captures a moment of mutual respect between the man who would be king and one of the key architects of rock and roll and R&B. Elvis never forgot the artists who inspired him. That man sitting near Elvis is indeed Diamond Joe Esposito. Joe was Elvis's right-hand man and the foreman of the Memphis Mafia. They met in the Army in 1958, and Joe remained one of Elvis's closest and most trusted aides until 1977. He managed Elvis's personal schedule, travel, and security. On stage, Elvis would often turn and ask, "You ready, Joe?" as a cue. Joe was the co-best man at Elvis's wedding and a constant figure through every phase of his post-Army career, acting as a road manager, bookkeeper, and, most importantly, a friend. This fantastic photo shows Elvis on set with acting legend Charles Bronson. The two starred together in the 1962 film Kid Galahad. Elvis played Walter Gulick, a young man who becomes a boxing sensation, while Bronson played his tough, no-nonsense trainer Lou Nyack. At the time, Bronson was a respected character actor, not yet the international superstar he would become in the 1970s. They reportedly got along well, with Bronson, a former boxer himself, helping Elvis with his form for the fight scenes. This remains one of Elvis's most respected film roles. This is one of Elvis's most stunning jumpsuits, known as the Egyptian or Inca gold leaf suit. Designed by Bill Ballou, it made its debut during the June and July tour of 1974. Then it disappeared for over 2 years. It was brought back into rotation in October 1976 and worn several times through the end of that year. The last time Elvis ever wore this suit on stage was on December 29, 1976. Keen-eyed fans will notice he wore it with 3 different belts: its original buckle in 1974, and later with the buckles from the Chinese Dragon and Chief jumpsuits. This is an exceptionally rare glimpse of the upstairs hallway at Graceland, an area not included on the public tour. This hallway was Elvis's private sanctuary. Down the hall on the right was Lisa Marie's bedroom, and on the left was his wardrobe room. The famous black padded door you see leads directly into his personal office and bedroom suite. The other door, visible behind the padded one, leads to Graceland's attic. This photo demystifies the layout, showing the personal living quarters where Elvis spent his private time away from the world. This incredible, unpublished photo from 1956 comes with a great personal story. It was taken by a family friend who worked at the Parks Belk department store in Memphis. This was just a couple of blocks from the home Elvis lived in on Audubon Drive. The employee had seen him shopping there before and decided to bring her camera to work. Her luck paid off. Elvis came into shop and she captured this amazing, candid photograph of him, wearing a white scarf under his jacket, surrounded by other shoppers. It's a spontaneous snapshot of his life just as his fame was exploding. This moment was captured on January 13, 1973, just before the historic Aloha from Hawaii concert. Elvis is seen backstage at the Honolulu International Center with his father, Vernon, and a man named Matt Esposito. Esposito was the manager of the venue. They are presenting Elvis with an award to commemorate the groundbreaking event. This concert was the first of its kind, a live show broadcast globally via satellite, reaching an estimated audience of over 1 billion people. This photo shows a moment of recognition right before Elvis stepped on stage for one of his most iconic performances. While stationed in Germany, Private Elvis Presley was still one of the most famous men in the world. This photo was taken on January 18, 1959, and shows Elvis with the popular German actress Vera Chikowa. She was a prominent star in European cinema. They are pictured at a party in Munich, where Elvis was visiting while on leave from his army duties in Friedberg. The press, of course, loved capturing him with beautiful starlets. This image is a great example of how Elvis navigated his international fame even while serving as a regular GI. This is a fantastic throwback to 1952, long before the fame. It shows a teenage Elvis with his friends from the Lauderdale Courts, the public housing project in Memphis where his family lived. Pictured from left to right are Farley Guy, Elvis, Paul Doer, and Evan Buzzy Forbes. These were his neighborhood buddies. Paul lived on the 3rd floor, while Farley lived on the 2nd, right above the Presley apartment. This was the era where Elvis was absorbing the music of Beale Street, developing his style, and just being a regular kid at Humes High School. This is a great backstage photo from April 29, 1973, in Seattle, Washington. Elvis is seen with promoter Tom Hewlett and his daughter, Tina. Hewlett was a significant figure in Elvis's touring career during the 1970s. As a concert promoter, he was responsible for booking and managing many of Elvis's shows in arenas across the country, working closely with Colonel Tom Parker. This picture, taken just before the evening show, is a nice glimpse into the business side of the tour, showing the personal relationships Elvis maintained with the people who helped make his massive concerts happen. Look to the far right of this photo to spot Elvis Presley in August 1952. He is attending a dance function for Humes High School, where he volunteered to work as an usher. The other students pictured were reportedly a year ahead of him. This was just before the start of his senior year. At this point, he was known as a quiet student, a bit of a polite outsider, famous for his unique style and his guitar. He was still a year away from walking into Sun's studio to record that first demo for his mother. Even in the Army, Elvis received royal visitors. This photo captures a unique event from August 22, 1959, at his rented house in Bad Nauheim, Germany. His visitor was a prince of Saudi Arabia, the 13th son of King Ibn Saud, who was studying in London. The prince was a huge Elvis fan and traveled to meet him. As a gift, he presented Elvis with this royal Arabic black kaftan and a tea service bearing the royal coat of arms. It's a striking image that shows Elvis's incredible global reach even while serving overseas. This photo takes us back to the set of Elvis's very first motion picture, Love Me Tender. It was filmed at 20th Century Fox Studios between August and September of 1956. Originally titled The Reno Brothers, the studio changed the name to capitalize on the success of the title ballad, which was recorded before the film even started shooting. Elvis played Clint Reno, the youngest brother. His debut on the big screen was a massive event, and the film became a huge box office hit, launching his second career as a Hollywood movie star. On August 24, 1956, Elvis recorded one of his most timeless songs, Love Me Tender. This session took place not at an RCA studio, but on a soundstage at 20th Century Fox for his first film. It was based on the Civil War-era ballad, Ora Lee. This was the only time Elvis ever professionally recorded the song in a studio. In an interview that week, Elvis pushed back against his wild image, stating, "People think all I can do is belt. I used to sing nothing but ballads before I went professional. I love ballads." This photo is from an unforgettable fan encounter on November 29, 1968. Two fans, Hilda and Sharon, were waiting outside Elvis's home on Hillcrest Drive in Los Angeles. First, Priscilla stopped to chat and sign an album. Later that afternoon, Charlie Hodge drove up with Elvis. Elvis rolled down his window, then told Charlie to pull inside the gate. He got out of the car specifically to meet them. He took photos with both fans, putting his arms around them. Hilda recalled he even gave her a kiss on the neck. It's a perfect story of his 1968-era accessibility. This photo relates to one of Elvis's most important charitable acts. In 1960, Colonel Parker saw an editorial about the stalled fundraising for the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor. Elvis, fresh out of the Army, immediately agreed to help. On March 25, 1961, he performed a landmark benefit concert in Hawaii. He pledged to buy the first ticket himself for $100. The concert was a monumental success, raising over $64,000 for the Memorial Fund. This single event was crucial in financing the completion of the memorial, honoring the soldiers lost in the attack. This candid photo was taken in Minden, Louisiana, on July 15, 1955. It shows Elvis at the home of the manager of the local Joy Drive-In Theater. In 1955, Elvis was not yet a national superstar, but his fame was exploding across the South. He was touring relentlessly with Scotty Moore and Bill Black, playing small theaters, school auditoriums, and drive-ins like this one. This was just before his contract was sold from Sun Records to RCA. This image captures a quiet, personal moment from that final, hectic year of his rise from regional sensation to global phenomenon. This photo, dated December 27, 1957, shows Elvis with pageant winner Kathy Gabriel. It's often mistaken that she was Miss USA, but she was, in fact, the winner of the 1957 Miss Ohio title. This wasn't their first meeting. They had previously met backstage over a year earlier, in November 1956, when Elvis performed at the arena in Cleveland, Ohio. This 1957 photo was likely taken at Graceland during the Christmas holidays, a time when Elvis famously welcomed friends and guests. It captures him at the absolute height of his initial fame. This 1975 photo from Huntsville, Alabama, shows the vocal group Voice on stage with Elvis. This was a quartet that Elvis personally assembled and paid for, consisting of singers Cheryl Nielsen, Tim Beatty, and others. They toured with him for about a year. He reportedly named the group Voice after a spiritual magazine that his friend Larry Geller had given him. They not only sang with him on stage, but were also available for his private gospel sing-alongs. Eventually, Elvis disbanded the group but kept the powerful tenor Cheryl Nielsen as a permanent part of his show. This still is from the 1962 musical Girls, 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 which starred Elvis as a fisherman in Hawaii. This specific scene might be from the song Dainty Little Moonbeams, but the film is best remembered for its massive chart-topping hit Return to Sender. The movie was a huge commercial success. It opened at #1 on the box office charts and finished as one of the top 20 grossing films of the entire year. The film itself even received a Golden Globe nomination for Best Motion Picture Musical, cementing Elvis's status as a top Hollywood draw. This is a wonderful personal memory from someone who lived at Graceland between 1960 and 1963. They recall watching the Bugs Bunny show with their brothers in the kitchen every Wednesday night. What fans might not know is that Elvis loved cartoons, his favorite being Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. He would often join them, laughing harder than anyone. It was his way of bonding and being a kid again after returning from filming a movie. If anyone tried to interrupt, Elvis would wave them off, saying it could wait until the show was over. This photo tells one of the wildest stories from Elvis's early days. On July 28, 1955, a fan named Artie's Bell Clausen went to see Elvis open for Hank Snow in Jacksonville, Florida. After the show, a frenzied crowd of female fans literally tore Elvis's shirt and jacket to pieces. Artis found him hiding behind the grandstand, cooling off by eating ice from a soda box. He was shirtless. She seized the moment and asked for a picture. Elvis, still chewing on ice, posed for this iconic snapshot, perfectly capturing the pandemonium of his 1955 tours. This candid photo was snapped on September 15, 1970, by Ed Bonja, Elvis's official tour photographer. It shows Elvis on board his private jet, flying from Mobile, Alabama, back home to Beverly Hills. He had just completed a grueling tour, 8 shows in 6 different cities, all in just 6 days. Bonja, whose uncle was Colonel Parker's right-hand man, photographed Elvis extensively from 1970 to 1977, capturing thousands of images both on and off the stage. This photo shows a rare, quiet moment of exhaustion and relief as the king headed home. This photo captures Elvis on stage at the Olympia Stadium in Detroit on October 4, 1974. He is wearing the famous Chinese dragon jumpsuit. This performance was part of a short tour following his legendary September Las Vegas engagement. That Vegas stint had become famous for his karate monologues, where he addressed rumors about his personal life from the stage. By the time he reached Detroit, his performances were intense and focused. He was in strong voice, delivering powerful shows to sold-out arenas. This tour showcased his resilience and his deep connection with his live audience during a turbulent personal period. Here's a candid look at Elvis on June 7, 1971, outside his 1174 Hillcrest Drive home in Beverly Hills. This was his primary residence in Los Angeles, a place he returned to between his demanding tour dates and recording sessions. 1971 was a significant year for him. He had just completed a major recording session in Nashville in May, producing many tracks for his Elvis Sings the Wonderful World of Christmas and He Touched Me gospel albums. This photo captures a rare, private moment of him at home, just before he would embark on his next nationwide tour starting in July. This snapshot is from the set of Change of Habit, filmed in the spring of 1969. This movie was a major turning point, as it was Elvis's 31st and final scripted feature film. He starred as Dr. John Carpenter, a doctor running a clinic in a low-income neighborhood. His co-star was the beloved Mary Tyler Moore, who played a nun working at the clinic. The film attempted to tackle serious social issues, a significant departure from his musical comedies. By the time it was released, Elvis had already made his triumphant return to live performing in Las Vegas, closing this chapter of his career. This photo is from a remarkable train journey on April 19, 1960. After his Army discharge, Elvis traveled from Memphis to Hollywood to film GI Blues. The train made several stops, drawing massive crowds. In Fort Worth, Texas, an older woman named Carrie Tywater stood out from the screaming teenagers. Elvis was so struck by her dignity that he reached out and invited her to meet him. This brief, gentle encounter became one of her most cherished memories. It's a wonderful example of his kindness and his ability to connect with people of all ages, even amidst total chaos. The man in the goofy outfit is comedian Jackie Kahan, but his connection to Elvis was no joke. Kahan, a Canadian stand-up comic, was Elvis's permanent opening act for his live shows from 1970 all the way to his final concert in 1977. He was a trusted part of the touring family. Their bond was so close that Colonel Tom Parker personally asked Kahan to write and deliver the eulogy at Elvis's funeral service in 1977. This photo captures a light-hearted backstage moment, but it represents a long and loyal professional friendship that lasted for the rest of Elvis's life. First of all, I plead innocent of all charges. That was Elvis's charming opening line at this very press conference, held on June 9, 1972 at the New York Hilton. He was in the city to announce his 4 historic, sold-out shows at Madison Square Garden, his first ever live concerts in New York. Looking tanned and confident in his sun jumpsuit, he charmed over 100 members of the press. He famously told them he saw his '68 comeback as just getting the rust off. This event marked a major milestone, proving his unparalleled showmanship to the demanding New York audience. According to Elvis's close friend Jerry Schilling, the man you see here, Tom Jones, was Elvis's only true friend within the music industry. Their friendship began in 1965 when they met at the Paramount Studios lot. They shared a mutual respect for each other's powerful voices and stage presence. They often spent long nights in Las Vegas or at home, singing gospel and their favorite hits to each other. They even vacationed together in Hawaii. While Elvis was cautious about his intentions, he had an authentic bond with Jones, a rare connection between 2 of the biggest superstars on the planet. This is the heartfelt epitaph found on Elvis's tombstone in the Meditation Garden at Graceland. It was personally written by his father, Vernon Presley, to capture the son he knew. The inscription speaks not only of his legendary career, but of the man himself. It calls him a precious gift from God and highlights his God-given talent. Vernon also made sure to emphasize Elvis's humanitarian side, noting his generosity and his kind feelings for his fellow man. It concludes with a heartbreakingly personal line from a father. "We miss you, son and daddy. I thank God. He gave us you." On June 9, 1972, Elvis Presley did what many thought was impossible. He conquered New York City. This photo captures the energy of his first of 4 sold-out shows at Madison Square Garden. Remarkably, this was his first time performing live in front of a New York audience since his controversial TV appearances in 1956 and 1957. The demand was overwhelming. The initial 3 shows sold out instantly, forcing them to add a 4th. In total, 80,000 fans witnessed this historic run. It was a massive critical and commercial triumph that solidified his status as the world's greatest performer. This moment is from Elvis's concert in Charlotte, North Carolina on February 21, 1977. This show is legendary among fans for one specific song. After telling the audience he only knows 3 chords on the guitar, he began, "Are you lonesome tonight?" During the spoken word part, Elvis got a fit of the giggles, unable to continue as he joked with the sweet inspirations. While he appeared tired, this spontaneous, hilarious moment showed his playful side and his unique ability to connect with his audience. It has become one of the most famous and humanizing bootleg recordings of his later tours. The critics agreed with the 80,000 fans. The Madison Square Garden shows were spectacular. The New York Times, in particular, gave him rave reviews. Reporter Chris Chase famously wrote, "He looked like a prince from another planet, narrow-eyed with high Indian cheekbones." Chase described how Elvis worked to the people, from the front rows to the peanut galleries. She wrote that when he started to move, time stopped and everyone in the place was 17 again. It was a glowing review that captured the magic of his performance and the godlike status he held with his audience. While filming his 4th movie, King Creole, in 1958, Elvis received some international visitors on the set. This photo shows him meeting with a delegation of prominent Japanese actresses. Among them was Hideko Takamine, a superstar in Japan whose career spanned 50 years. The group also included Yumi Shirakawa and others. This was just before Elvis was inducted into the Army. King Creole would be his final film before his service and is widely regarded as his best dramatic performance. This visit shows that even in 1958, his fame was already reaching every corner of the globe. In 1956, Elvis's style was as revolutionary as his music. This look, often featuring a Cuban collar shirt, draped trousers, and two-tone shoes, became iconic. He bought most of these clothes from Lansky Brothers on Beale Street in Memphis. But as the description notes, it wasn't just the clothes, it was how he wore them. He had a natural louche quality, a relaxed and rebellious confidence. The clothes seemed to hang on him perfectly, reflecting the fluid, boundary-pushing way he moved. This combination of fashion and attitude defined a new kind of cool for an entire generation of young people. This is a fascinating story from Elvis's time in the Army. While stationed in Freiburg, Germany from 1958 to 1960, Elvis famously wanted to be treated like any other soldier. He was assigned to Company D, 1st Medium Tank Battalion, 32nd Armor. His main job was as a jeep driver, first for his company commander and later as a scout. This story, passed down from an Army chaplain, confirms he also served as a personal driver for a chaplain. It's a perfect example of his humble service, performing his duties, driving officers, and earning his stripes as Sergeant Presley. This candid shot captures Elvis during rehearsals on August 7, 1970, for his summer festival engagement at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. This entire period was being intensely documented by MGM for the film Elvis, That's the Way It Is. These rehearsals were crucial as he was working with his TCB band and orchestras to perfect his new set list. He was introducing new, powerful songs like I Just Can't Help Believin' and You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin'. This image shows the king hard at work, focusing on the music before stepping out in the jumpsuit. This photo documents a proud hometown moment on December 29, 1970. Elvis returned to his birthplace, Tupelo, Mississippi, where he was honored by Lee County Sheriff Bill Mitchell. While he didn't become the actual sheriff, he was likely made an honorary official, a gesture he deeply appreciated. This event came just days after his famous December 21st meeting with President Nixon in Washington, D.C., where he had been presented with a federal narcotics agent badge. Elvis had a profound respect for law enforcement and collected badges and honors from departments all across the country. This may look like a mugshot, but it's not. This photo was actually taken on October 10, 1970, at the Shelby County Sheriff's Department in Memphis. Elvis was there to be fingerprinted and photographed for an official police badge to add to his extensive collection. His fascination with law enforcement began early. He received his very first honorary badge back on September 29, 1956, from Sergeant Fred Woodward of the Memphis PD. This 1970 mugshot was part of his ongoing effort to gain legitimate credentials from police departments, which he deeply admired and supported. This photo is from Elvis's concert at the Tingley Coliseum in Albuquerque, New Mexico on April 19, 1972. This performance was part of the legendary tour captured for the Golden Globe-winning documentary Elvis on Tour. Fans who were there recall the incredible excitement. He stayed at the Hilton's presidential suite, where some lucky fans even got to meet him. This show captured Elvis at his peak, delivering a dynamic performance for a sold-out crowd. Decades later, the jumpsuit he wore that very night was even put on display at a local Albuquerque mall. This incredible photo captures an 18-year-old Elvis in 1953, enjoying a Humes High School class picnic at Maywood Pool. The young woman with him is his classmate, Rosemary Baracco. This was just before his high school graduation and, more importantly, just months before he would walk into Sun's studio for the first time to record My Happiness. He was still just a high school kid from Memphis, known for his unique style and his guitar. This snapshot offers a rare and charming glimpse into his life just before fame found him, enjoying a simple day with friends. This photo was taken in March 1977, during what would be Elvis's final vacation in Hawaii. He traveled there with his girlfriend, Ginger Alden, and a group of close friends, seeking rest and relaxation. He rented a beach house in Kailua, Oahu, away from the usual tourist spots. During this trip, he spent his time relaxing, reading, and playing touch football on the beach, a game he had loved his entire life. These were some of his last moments of peace, just 5 months before his untimely passing in August. Horseback riding was one of Elvis's favorite ways to escape the pressures of fame. This photo, dated June 6, 1969, captures him enjoying that passion. This was a critical time in his life. He was just 2 months away from his monumental comeback to live performing at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. He was in great physical shape, rehearsing intensely and preparing for the next big chapter of his career. This image shows him in a rare moment of personal relaxation, just before he would change the world of live entertainment forever. Here we see Elvis in his 31st and final feature film, 1969's Change of Habit. He played Dr. John Carpenter, a doctor working in an urban clinic. His co-star was Mary Tyler Moore, who played Sister Michelle, a nun working undercover as a medical aide. The film was a significant departure, attempting to address serious social issues of the day. It featured the memorable song Rubberneckin'. By the time Change of Habit was released in theaters, Elvis's movie career was already over, and he was dominating the Las Vegas stage, having launched his legendary comeback. This likely refers to the iconic opening theme of Elvis's 1970s concerts. The song is actually a classical piece called Also sprach Zarathustra, composed by Richard Strauss. It became famous in the film 2001: A Space Odyssey and is often associated with a dramatic sunrise. Elvis began using this powerful orchestral piece as his entrance music in 1971. The thundering drums and soaring orchestra built incredible anticipation, culminating in his explosive appearance on stage. It became one of the most famous and electrifying concert openings in the history of music, setting the stage for the king. This isn't just any fan. This is Baba, Elvis's famous pet chimpanzee. Here, Baba is seen with Elvis and Priscilla at their Hillcrest home in Los Angeles. Elvis acquired the chimp in the mid-1960s. Baba was a notorious troublemaker, living at Graceland and causing chaos, often destroying property and annoying Elvis's father, Vernon. The chimp was known for his mischievous antics and became a famous part of the Graceland lore from that era. This photo captures a quirky domestic moment from his Hollywood years, showing his love for animals, even mischievous ones. Elvis was a well-known animal lover, and this is his Great Dane, Brutus. Brutus was a gift from Priscilla and the Memphis Mafia for Christmas in 1964 and lived at Graceland. He was the brother of another Great Dane owned by the group, named Snoopy. Brutus was a beloved member of the household, often seen with Elvis on the Graceland grounds. Elvis owned many dogs throughout his life, from his childhood dog Sweet Pea to his last dog, a Chow Chow named Get Low. This photo shows his affection for Brutus, one of his most famous four-legged companions. This is Scatter, Elvis's first and most infamous pet chimpanzee. Acquired in 1961, Scatter was a performing chimp who became Elvis's constant companion. He was dressed in custom-made outfits and taught to cause all sorts of mischief, which Elvis found hilarious. However, Scatter became increasingly aggressive and uncontrollable, often biting guests and destroying hotel rooms. His antics became legendary within the Memphis Mafia. He was eventually sent to live at Graceland, but had to be kept in a cage, a rather sad end for the king's wild companion. This photo captures him in his earlier, more charming days. This iconic image is from one of the most controversial moments of Elvis's early career. On July 1, 1956, he appeared on The Steve Allen Show. In an attempt to tone down Elvis's vulgar image after his scandalous Milton Berle performance, the show's producers had him sing Hound Dog to a real basset hound named Sherlock. Elvis was forced to wear a tuxedo and was clearly embarrassed by the stunt. While he was a good sport, he hated the experience. However, the performance was a rating smash, and his defiant, full-throttle performance of the song on The Ed Sullivan Show soon after cemented it as a rock and roll anthem. This is a meeting of two music giants, Elvis Presley and Glen Campbell. Before Glen Campbell became a country pop superstar, he was one of the most sought-after session musicians in Los Angeles, a key member of the Wrecking Crew. In 1963, Campbell actually played guitar on the soundtrack for Elvis's film Viva Las Vegas, including on the classic title track. They remained friends throughout their careers. This photo captures a moment of mutual respect between the king of rock and roll and the Rhinestone Cowboy, two men who fundamentally shaped American music. Here we see Elvis with fellow musician Johnny Rivers. The two are famously connected by the Chuck Berry song Memphis. Elvis recorded a fantastic version of Memphis during his Nashville sessions in May 1963. He loved the song and re-recorded it in January 1964, planning to release it as his next single. However, before he could, Johnny Rivers released his own live, energetic version from the Whiskey A Go-Go. Rivers' take became a massive hit. Out of professional respect, Elvis and the Colonel decided not to release their version as a single, which remained an album cut. This is a legendary meeting between Elvis and one of his own idols, Fats Domino. This photo was taken in Las Vegas in 1969. Elvis had immense respect for the New Orleans icon, once famously introducing him at a concert as the real king of rock and roll. Fats Domino recalled this meeting, saying Elvis told him how he had flopped his first time in Vegas in 1956. Fats, who called Elvis Mr. Blueberry Hill, was astounded by his talent and work ethic, saying, "Boy, he could sing. He could sing spirituals, country, and western, everything. I don't see how he did it." On July 26, 1960, Elvis took a break from filming GI Blues in Hollywood to fly to Las Vegas. He was there to catch the opening night show of another young superstar, Bobby Darin, at the Sahara Hotel. This photo captures the two music phenoms backstage. At the time, Darin was riding high on hits like Mac the Knife. Elvis and Bobby had a friendly rivalry and mutual respect. This visit shows Elvis supporting another artist during his first year back from the Army, a rare night off where he got to be the one in the audience. This photo captures Elvis arriving for his concert in Uniondale, New York on July 19, 1975. He is seen with his right-hand man, Joe Esposito, and his girlfriend at the time, Diane Goodman. They are heading into the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, a venue he played multiple times in the mid-70s. By 1975, his concerts were massive events, and his arrival at the venue was a major operation, managed by his team and local security. This image is a great candid snapshot of Elvis on tour, caught in motion between the car and the pandemonium of the backstage area. The Florida Theater in Jacksonville is the site of one of the most infamous incidents in Elvis's early career. He played 6 shows there in August 1956. After his first performance, a local judge, Marion Gooding, threatened to arrest him for impairing the morals of minors with his suggestive dancing. To avoid arrest, Elvis was famously advised to tone down his act. For the next show, he stood perfectly still, wiggling only his little finger as a sign of protest. The crowd went wild anyway. These shows were a pivotal moment in the 1950s culture clash. This photo, taken at his Hillcrest home in Los Angeles on July 17, 1969, captures Elvis in a crucial moment of preparation. He was just 2 weeks away from the most important opening night of his entire career, his return to live performing at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. He had spent weeks rehearsing intensely with his new TCB band, crafting a set list that would blow away his 1960s movie image and re-establish him as a raw, powerful stage performer. This is a snapshot of the man right before he stepped back into the spotlight and changed entertainment. Elvis loved touch football, but the game didn't always love him back. On October 16, 1960, Elvis was playing one of his famously aggressive games with his entourage on the Graceland lawn. During the game, he broke his finger. He was first taken to Campbell Clinic, but doctors decided to transfer him to the hospital, anticipating the huge crowd of visitors and fans that would surely gather. He was accompanied by his teammates and his girlfriend at the time, Anita Wood. The injury resulted in him wearing a splint on his finger for several weeks, which is visible in photos from that period. Elvis was a legendary car collector, and this was one of his favorites. On October 9, 1970, he purchased this 1971 Stutz Blackhawk for $26,500. It wasn't just a Stutz, it was the very first one ever sold to the public. The car was flown to Los Angeles and presented to him at his Beverly Hills home. He loved it so much that he bought several more over the years, including the one he was driving just hours before his passing in 1977. This first Stutz, however, remains an iconic part of his collection. This photo was taken on September 28, 1974, while Elvis was on tour in College Park, Maryland. He is seen at his hotel with his friend and karate instructor Ed Parker and local police officers. The gentleman on the right is Sergeant Smokey Joe Thompson, who was in charge of security from the local sheriff's department. Elvis actively cultivated strong relationships with local law enforcement in every city he visited. He respected their work immensely, and they, in turn, often provided him with personal security and presented him with honorary badges for his collection. In 1956, Elvis was finally making real money, and he loved to spend it on cars. On August 4, 1956, while on tour in Miami, Florida, he walked into a dealership and purchased this stunning 1956 Lincoln Continental. This was one of the most expensive and luxurious cars in the world at the time. Elvis, who had just turned 21, paid for it in cash. He later had it customized, painting it a soft valley rose color. This purchase was a powerful symbol of his incredible success, a long way from the delivery truck he drove for Crown Electric. On July 26, 1960, Elvis took a break from filming GI Blues in Hollywood to fly to Las Vegas. He was there to catch the opening night show of another young superstar, Bobby Darin, at the Sahara Hotel. This photo captures the two music phenoms backstage. At the time, Darin was riding high on hits like Mac the Knife. Elvis and Bobby had a friendly rivalry and mutual respect. This visit shows Elvis supporting another artist during his first year back from the Army, a rare night off where he got to be the one in the audience. This is a fantastic meeting of two 1960s music idols. Here, Elvis is on the set of his 1966 film Paradise, Hawaiian Style, meeting Peter Noone, the lead singer of the hugely popular British invasion band Herman's Hermits. At the time, Herman's Hermits were one of the biggest bands in the world, rivaling even the Beatles. Noone and his band were in Hawaii to perform at the same arena where Elvis had filmed his benefit concert. This photo is a great snapshot of the old guard of rock and roll meeting the new wave of British pop. This photo was taken on the set of King Creole in 1958. The woman with Elvis is Kitty Dolan, a dancer and actress who had an uncredited role in the film. King Creole was filled with complex dance numbers and a gritty atmosphere, directed by Michael Curtis. It was Elvis's favorite film role and the one critics agree was his best. This image captures a light-hearted, behind-the-scenes moment with one of the many performers who helped bring the vibrant New Orleans world of the film to life, just before Elvis had to trade his movie costumes for an army uniform. This candid shot captures the friendly atmosphere on the set of Elvis's final film, Change of Habit, in 1969. Here, Elvis shares a laugh with his co-star, Mary Tyler Moore, and the film's director, William A. Graham. Moore later recalled how professional and kind Elvis was, but also how isolated he seemed, surrounded by his entourage. Graham was directing a film that tried to be socially relevant, a far cry from Elvis's earlier musicals. This image shows the three key players relaxing between takes on a film that would mark the end of Elvis's Hollywood acting career. While serving in the U.S. Army in Germany, Elvis famously took leave to visit Paris, France in 1959. During his visit, he was photographed with Nancy Holloway, an American-born jazz and pop singer who would become a major star in France. Elvis enjoyed the nightlife of Paris, visiting clubs like the Lido. This meeting with Holloway, an established expatriate performer, was a glamorous encounter between two American artists in the City of Light. It shows Elvis enjoying his brief escape from army life before returning to his duties in Freiburg, Germany. This photo, taken at the Landmark Hotel on February 25, 1971, shows Elvis with country music royalty, Dottie West. Dottie, a member of the Grand Ole Opry, was a pioneering female artist in Nashville. Elvis had a deep and lifelong love for country music, and he and Dottie had a warm friendship. She often came to see his shows in Las Vegas. This backstage meeting captures the mutual admiration between the king of rock and roll and one of the most beloved queens of country music during the peak of his Vegas era. This photo is often misidentified. The man Elvis is greeting is not George H.W. Bush, but rather Winthrop Rockefeller, the governor of Arkansas. This meeting likely took place on January 16, 1971, when Elvis was honored as one of the 10 outstanding young men of America by the USJCs. The ceremony was held in Memphis, and as a prominent Southern governor, Rockefeller was in attendance. This image captures Elvis being recognized not just as an entertainer, but as a significant American cultural figure, honored alongside astronauts and activists. This is a powerhouse photo from the Las Vegas era. It shows Elvis and Priscilla Presley hanging out with Welsh singing legend Tom Jones and his wife Linda. This wasn't just a celebrity photo op. Elvis and Tom had a genuine friendship based on deep mutual respect. They were arguably the two most dynamic performers in Las Vegas. They would often watch each other's shows and then spend hours backstage or at home singing gospel music and hits together. This image captures a rare, relaxed moment between two couples at the absolute pinnacle of their fame, sharing a unique bond. This 1969 photo captures the camaraderie of the Las Vegas music scene. Here, Elvis is backstage with his friend and rival, Tom Jones, and Jones's drummer, Chris Ellis. In 1969, both Elvis and Tom Jones were the hottest tickets in town, redefining what a Vegas residency could be. They had immense respect for each other's bands. Elvis's TCB band and Tom's band were considered the best in the business. This image shows them sharing a moment, likely after a show, two superstars and their musicians, all at the top of their game. This photo is from one of the most legendary nights in showbiz history. On August 29, 1969, Frank Sinatra and Fred Astaire, two icons of a previous generation, came to see Elvis's comeback show at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. Here they are backstage, posing with Elvis and his right-hand man, Joe Esposito. This meeting was a symbolic passing of the torch. Sinatra, who had once criticized rock and roll, was now paying his respects. Astaire, the ultimate dancer, was in awe of Elvis's stage presence. It was a massive stamp of approval from Hollywood royalty. This incredible lineup of stars was gathered in Memphis on June 28, 1957, for a very special cause. This was Danny Thomas's Shower of Stars benefit concert at Russwood Park, held to raise funds for the brand new St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Elvis, at the height of his early fame, returned to his hometown to perform. He is pictured here with comedy legend Lou Costello, actress Jane Russell, and country star Ferlin Husky. Even as the rebellious king of rock and roll, Elvis always made time for charity, especially for a cause in his beloved hometown. This star-studded photo is also from Danny Thomas's Shower of Stars benefit for St. Jude's Hospital in Memphis on June 28, 1957. Here, Elvis is seen with actress Susan Hayward, alongside Lou Costello, Jane Russell, and Ferlin Husky. You can also spot Elvis's friend and Memphis Mafia member Lamar Fike in the background. Elvis's participation was a massive draw, bringing huge attention to Danny Thomas's dream of building a hospital where children could be treated regardless of their family's ability to pay. It was a major gathering of Hollywood and music talent for a noble cause. This classic photo captures a meeting of two entertainment kings in April 1956. Elvis was in Las Vegas for his very first engagement at the New Frontier Hotel, but his raw rock and roll style failed to connect with the older, sophisticated audience. The headliner at the rival Riviera Hotel was the biggest star in Vegas, Liberace. Known for his flamboyant showmanship, Liberace came to see Elvis's show. Backstage, they hammed it up for this photo, with Liberace even suggesting Elvis should wear a gold lame jacket. It was a lesson in showmanship the young Elvis would never forget. This photo captures the legendary, electric chemistry between Elvis and Anne Margaret, his co-star in the 1964 hit film Viva Las Vegas. From the moment they met, their connection was undeniable. They were the male and female reflections of each other, dynamic, talented, and full of energy. Their on-screen musical numbers are considered his best, and their connection spilled over into a passionate, year-long off-screen romance. Anne Margaret was one of the most important relationships of his life, and their bond remained special until the very end. This image is a snapshot of that famous, fiery connection. This fantastic photo was taken on October 5, 1956, on the 20th Century Fox studio lot. Elvis was there filming his very first movie, Love Me Tender. He is seen here with established movie star Robert Wagner and character actor Alan Hale Jr., who was 9 years away from his iconic role as the Skipper on Gilligan's Island. Elvis, just 21 years old, was the new kid on the lot, but he was already the most famous of the three. This image captures him being welcomed into the Hollywood fold by two veteran actors during his very first week as a movie star. This is an intimate photo of Elvis with his high school girlfriend, Barbara Hearn. It was taken on July 4, 1956, at his new home on Audubon Drive in Memphis. This was just days after his controversial Milton Berle Show performance. He had just returned from his New York recording session and had the acetate test pressings of his new songs. This photo captures a private, exciting moment as he shares those brand new recordings, including Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel, with an old friend, right before they would be released and change the world. This famous photo, taken by Alfred Wertheimer on July 4, 1956, shows Elvis at his Audubon Drive home with Barbara Hearn. He had just taken a shower and was still bare-chested when he eagerly put the acetate disc of his new recordings on the phonograph. He wanted her to be one of the first to hear the songs he had just cut in New York. This image is so remarkable because it captures a moment of pure, unguarded joy and pride. He is on the verge of becoming the biggest star in the world, sharing his unreleased masterpieces in his own living room. This is a significant photo showing Elvis with the great pianist and composer Dudley Brooks. While not a household name, Brooks was a crucial part of Elvis's early sound. He was the session pianist on many of his most iconic 1950s recordings, including Jailhouse Rock, Teddy Bear, and Blue Suede Shoes for the GI Blue soundtrack. He also played on the soundtracks for films like Loving You and King Creole. This image captures Elvis with one of the unheralded musical architects who helped build the classic sound that we still love today.